All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you and your families are all staying safe and healthy. I just want to welcome and thank you all for attending Cloudpoint Geographic's webinar on how to manage your sign inventory in the cloud. My name is Bill Steele, and I handle the business development and marketing for Cloudpoint. Mike Gennard, one of the GIS technicians at Cloudpoint, is going to walk us through our GIS resource available for managing sign inventories. We're working hard to continually bring you more content and webinars. Next week, we have a webinar on our introduction to Parcel Fabric, and then reprisals of our webinars on ArcGIS Pro, ArcGIS Enterprise, and indoor facility mapping. If you visit cloudpointgeo.com/webinars to register, and make sure and spread the word if there's anyone you know that might benefit from some of these learning opportunities. Just real quick, I want to go over your functions in Zoom. For questions, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Just click that, little window will pop open showing you how to submit a question. You can submit those at any time. We'll be answering questions at the end of the presentation. And don't worry too, they are anonymous. I won't read your names or anything out. And then if you're having trouble hearing or seeing us, just send a comment in the chat room. I'll be monitoring that as well. Also of note, kind of a bigger thing that we're doing, we're premiering our first ever virtual showcase. Normally we do these in person all around the state and even up into Wisconsin, but with how things are now, we're going to do this virtually through Zoom. It's going to be the morning of Thursday, May 14th from 9 to 12:30. It's public works focused showcase. It'll feature speakers from Esri and Cloudpoint, and it'll be fully interactive with everyone's cameras on. So yeah, you might need to shave and put on a clean shirt. Goes for me as well. You can go to cloudpointgeo.com/virtual showcase for more information and register there. So most of you are familiar with us, but just to fill you in, we work in many sectors: public works, facilities, land records, utilities, transportation, engineering, even cemeteries. And as a trusted Esri business partner, we help people drive intelligent decision-making using mapping technology. And one of the solutions is SignOps, web-based application for tracking, managing your inventory traffic signs. The things that public relies on every single day without even realizing, but maintenance can be a daunting task for your street and highway departments. And here to tell us more about how to make that task easier is Mike. Mike, go ahead.
All right, well, thank you, Bill. I'm going to go ahead and hop into a quick PowerPoint to kind of discuss the details of SignOps. Then at the end, we'll go ahead and we'll do a little bit of demo in the actual application itself, just so we can get a feel for how the application works. So to begin, I always like to do a little bit of an overall look at SignOps, what it is and what it can do. So I like to say that SignOps provides a complete turnkey, and turnkey, I always like to highlight that phrase there. And that just essentially means that the SignOps solution is immediately ready to use and once it's implemented within your organization. So once your organization decides to use SignOps, it's all set up, ready to go, ready for data input. So like I said, SignOps provides a complete turnkey sign inventory management system that gives users web-based, mobile-friendly application for updating their sign inventory, tracking maintenance history, and performing real-time inspections on their signs. Also, SignOps allows its users to access the mobile device camera and has built-in scanner integration to scan barcodes for a quick and simple yet robust sign inventory solution. So I also like to point out some of the power of SignOps, some of its capabilities. One of the things I like to highlight is its mobility. SignOps can be accessed from any desktop or mobile device using an internet connection. Since SignOps is web-based, it does provide a web-based platform that enables multiple users editing the same sign information, the same sign data at the same time, as long as they're logged in as their separate users. Location, the power of SignOps also allows you, with that mobility, allows you to take SignOps into the field. It allows for data collection capability, not just from behind a screen or at a desk. It allows you to take and use the device's built-in GPS functionality so you can edit out in the field. SignOps also allows for inspections. users simply input parameters in SignOps, and the parameters guide the users for a more streamlined sign inspection process, saving time and headache. SignOps also allows its users to look at all the sign data, which could include, but is definitely not limited to, all the signs purchased, signs that have been sold, all the maintenance history, the installations, replacements, retired signs, etc. And we can also export that data in the form of reports. So really that gives users and decision makers the ability to look at all of their sign data and make informed decisions based upon that data. So what does SignOps track? Well, we can see all of this data is tracked for each and every sign. Of course, this is not a comprehensive list. There's also more, but these are some of the things I like to point out to people just to show and give a quick idea of everything that SignOps can track. One of the key aspects of the SignOps solution is barcodes. And I like to talk about barcodes as kind of being the backbone of the SignOps solution. So barcodes are utilized for SignOps for improved asset management. Really, the workflow for barcodes incorporating in SignOps is once a sign is purchased and assigned a barcode number in the actual SignOps solution, that barcode is a unique identification number specific to that sign for its entire life within the SignOps solution, which means every time a sign is assigned a barcode, that unique identification number, that sign is then tracked using that identification number in the application. So kind of using that integrated scanning capability I mentioned earlier, SignOps uses that barcode scanning to provide a rapid response and data retrieval to pull up a specific sign. Several lines of information can also be retrieved from one individual barcode scan, saving users time of searching for a sign and other methods of looking at signs. And it also eliminates the likelihood of entering incorrect information. Of course, we're all human and we all can make errors, but the barcodes eliminate the user inaccuracies in most cases. And it also accelerates the data entry process. So I just wanted to show, here's a couple pictures of what it looks like using the barcodes out in the field. Since obviously we can't have an in-person demo, the pictures are about as good as I can do. And it shows you the barcodes can be customizable completely to fit your organization's needs. And simply scanning using a third-party app called Pick to Shop Pro, you can use that functionality within the SignOps application to scan the barcode and pull up the information in the SignOps application. So a little bit about the user interface, which we'll be able to see in just a moment. That SignOps employs an intuitive interface that enables users to collect, edit, and maintain their sign inventory. And essentially, we've broken down this user interface into 4 different workflows based upon what you're looking to accomplish for the specific workflow. In the sign shop, think of this as kind of the prep for the data maintenance. So here we can enter our purchases, we can assign barcodes to our signs, we can sell our signs, and view all the signs that we have currently in stock. Out in the field is really the meat and potatoes of the SignOps application, where we can view all of our sign data on a map, we can scan and inspect our signs. Reports, as I mentioned earlier, we can see all of our sign data, we can pull summaries, look at sign data details, view all the signs that we've retired and sold, and we can also see the signs that we marked as needing attention. And the administrative, for certain admin users, they'll have the ability to manage the sign types, manufacturers, shading definition, suppliers, and users. So now, what I'd like to do is get us a quick demo of the SignOps application. So here, once you log in, and really, like I said, this is usable on a desktop or mobile device as long as there's a web connection, which is key. But the user interface will be the same throughout all platforms. So you're not used to seeing the application operate one way on a desktop and operate differently on a mobile device. It's consistent throughout all platforms. So here's our homepage on the SignOps application. Once you log in, this is where you will be directed.
Hey, Mike.
And from here, we can, yeah.
I'm not sure if you needed to switch your screen or if it didn't pop up or.
Okay, let me go ahead and
We just see your PowerPoint still.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, can you see everything now?
Yep.
All right, thanks for pointing that out, Bill.
Yep.
But one of the things, like I said, this is our home screen. So like I said, this is going to be what we'll see regardless of whether or not we're using the SignOps application on a desktop or on a mobile device out in the field. So once we log in, this is what we'll see. And here we can see an updated log of all the updates that occur to the SignOps application. So users will be the first to know when updates come out. This is where we'll be able to track and see those updates. But from here, I'd like to point out how we'll navigate throughout the application. These are our 4 workflows that I mentioned to you before in the top left-hand corner. We'll see our sign shot, in the field, our reports tab, and our admin tab for those administrative users. So I'd like to hop into a workflow and show kind of the process from purchasing signs to putting them out in the field and filling out our inventory to running a report on a sign. So once we go ahead and we'll open the sign shop, we can see the different workflows here. We can enter our sign purchases. We can assign barcodes, sell signs, which that could be dependent upon your specific organization. We can view unassigned signs and our signs that we have in stock. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enter some sign purchases. First, you can see it's going to pull up some parameters that help us navigate through this purchasing process. I'm going to select a supplier. I'm going to just say ABC Signs. Here, I'm going to select my sign type, which we can search for signs using the MUTCD code or just keywords in the sign. I'm going to buy some stop signs today. Here, I can customize the dimensions of the signs that I'm purchasing. I'll select their sheeting. Now I can enter some text. Manufacturer date, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to set this sign was manufactured on April 1st. And now I'm going to select my manufacturer and how many signs that I'm going to buy. I'm also going to enter purchases for the yield sign. Again, select my dimensions, my sheeting, the sign text, the manufacturer date, which I'll also set as April 1st. Select my manufacturer and how many signs I'm going to purchase. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and save those purchases. Now, what it's done is put those signs in our inventory as unassigned signs. And these are simply the signs that have yet to been assigned to barcode. So let's go ahead and let's do that. From here, I'll see the signs that I've purchased and need to assign barcodes to. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign a barcode to my stop signs. Here is where we would have that built-in scanner functionality. But for this purposes, I'm going to enter the signs in manually. So this tag ID, the specific barcode number, will always be associated with this one specific stop sign throughout its lifetime in the application. I'll go ahead and I'll select Save. Great. The sign has been created and tagged with that specific barcode number successfully. We can also see how many signs remaining that we need to assign barcodes to. So I'll go ahead, I'll enter my next barcode, save, great. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign a barcode to a yield sign as well. Perfect. I've got some signs with some barcodes assigned. Now I'm ready to go input these into my sign inventory out in the field. So in the field, when I open that up, I'm going to see some different options here. I'm going to be able to access my map, scan a sign, and run some sign inspections. First, I want to go ahead and I want to look at my map. So here is going to give us an interactive map based on our location. Of course, we can navigate through the map, but we're also going to have a cursor that tracks using our device's GPS location, our location. So, meaning we could use an iPad or a different mobile device, phone, say, out in the field, we could use our devices to use and input and fill out our inventory mobily. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select a location to create an assembly. All signs and sign-offs will live on an assembly. The assembly information will then host all of this different sign information. So to begin, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create an assembly. I'm going to be able to enter data specifically for that assembly. I can select the mount type, the post type, lateral bracing if it applies, and a road name. From here, the road name list fills in as you fill in your inventory. For here, I'm going to say this assembly lives on US Route 24. Number of supports and the side of the road that this assembly lives on. Since we're on the north side of US 24, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there. And of course, we can enter any comments if necessary. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that assembly. And from here, it's going to ask, do you want to add an assign to this assembly? So I can either scan using that built-in scanner integration in SignOps, or I can select assign from my inventory. Since I don't have the scanner on me, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select assign from my inventory. And from here, we can see all the signs that we've assigned barcodes to that are waiting to go out into the field. So from here, I'm going to select the tag ID of 1 with the stop sign. Again, it's going to pre-populate the install date, saving me time. And now I'm just going to select which direction that this stop sign is facing. I'm going to go ahead and say it's facing east. I can enter again any comments specific to this sign and click save. And now that this stop sign with that barcode has been applied to this assembly. From here, we can edit the sign, we can replace the sign, or we can retire the sign. We can also see a detailed maintenance history of this sign. If I click edit, I can edit any of the sign information, but most of it is pulled from when we entered the sign as a purchase. We can see the supplier, manufacturer date, the direction it's facing, the dimensions, the sheeting, so on and so forth. Here's our maintenance history for that sign. An automatic maintenance record is created when a sign is installed, replaced, retired, and inspected. Say I want to replace this sign. Something has happened to the sign. It's no longer usable in the field for whatever reason. I'll go ahead and I'll click the replace function, and it's going to pull up again, kind of like the same interface we saw when we added a sign. I'm going to select a sign from my inventory, and I'm going to replace it with this new stop sign. Tell it which direction it's facing, and save. Great. Now we've got that new sign with the tag ID of 2 taking the place on the assembly of where the original stop sign was. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another assembly to put a yield sign on. I can use, since I've already input the US Route 24 as a road name, on the north side of the road. I'm going to click save. Again, I can scan to add a sign, but I'm going to select from my inventory. This one is also facing east, and I'll save. Great. Now another assembly has been added with that yield sign. From here, say I want to inspect my signs. I'll go into the field, and I'll click on the inspect signs, and it's going to pull up an interface with the parameters that I had mentioned earlier that will input and we'll specify our inputs that will help us guide through the inspection process. First, I'm going to select whether this is a night or day inspection. I'll select day inspection. Here it's going to ask for the road name. I'm going to select for US Route 24. I want to select all the signs that I have on US Route 24 facing east as I travel west along my inspection. So once I go ahead and click search, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up all the signs that I have that are facing east as I travel west that are on US Route 24. From here, it's going to pull them up in chronological order using my GPS location in the order that I'll pass them on my inspection route. From here, we can either pass a sign, say everything is good with it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click pass. Or if a sign does not meet inspection standards, we can go ahead and we can fail that sign. From here, we can see the signs that are as marked needing attention. And since our sign did not pass our inspection, we can use this handy dandy reports tab, and we can see the signs that are marked as needing attention. Once the sign fails an inspection, it's automatically flagged for user attention. Here's where we can access those signs that are marked as needing attention. Some further action is needed in our inventory to go ahead and maintain and upkeep these signs. So if I select the list again, we're going to be able to see all of our signs here. Say I have a team of field crews and they're planning workloads and work orders for the day. If I have say 20 signs that I'd marked in my inventory as needing attention. And we want to take a look at those and say, hey, how can we better manage our workload here? What we can do is we can download this report that's going to download a CSV file of all of our sign information that we can access and look at in a report form. For the purposes of our interview, or for our webinar, if I take the action of editing a sign, what it's going to do is it's going to pull up that sign on its assembly here. So once we go out in the field, we can go ahead and pull up this sign here. And we can also see the history of the maintenance records for our signs. We can see the installation maintenance record, installed sign on assembly, and we can also see this sign has failed an inspection. So from here, we can either take the actions of replacing a sign or retiring a sign as well. Say this sign has failed in its inspection, it's no longer usable out in the field. We can go ahead and we can retire this sign. So once that sign has been retired, it's going to say it's no longer associated with an assembly. It's been taken out from that assembly, removed from in the field, and we can see now that it lives in this retired signs list, along with the stop sign that we replaced earlier. So again, using this tag ID, that barcode number, it's going to live with that sign throughout its entire life in the application. So from here, once we've assigned a barcode, we can no longer have another sign in our inventory with those specific tag IDs. So again, that just helps account for user errors. So we're not having two signs with the same tag ID living in our inventory. Finally, the last tab I'd like to point out is our admin tab that are just specifically for our admin users. From here, admin users can set user roles, they can set manufacturer inputs, sign types, sheeting definitions, suppliers, customers, and jurisdictions. Say we want to add a new maintenance type, a new an inspection type that we want to add. So here we can edit any of these lists using the same process. Here I'm going to show an example of what that would be like. Say I want to add a new maintenance type for my field crews to input out in the field. Say this one we're going to say sign has been damaged. So I'll click save. Now, every time an inspection is performed or field crews are out in the field, they can add in a certain maintenance type specific to whatever maintenance operation they performed, and we can control that list from here using the admin tab. So that is a quick walkthrough of the SignOps application. I'd like to go back to the PowerPoint and finish with any questions that anyone would have.
Yep, that was great, Mike. Thanks. We do got some questions here, and guys, go ahead and submit those as you can. Can you use QR codes and smartphones?
That is a great question. So we use our barcodes. We use a third-party provider called Metalcraft. If any of you are familiar with them, they have great quality barcodes in our opinion. So yeah, if you went and used a vendor like Metalcraft, or if you made your own barcodes, yeah, you could certainly make those QR functional and definitely integrate that with your phone, the device, or a different scanner too that would read QR codes.
Great. Let's see, another one here. What if my organization already has pre-existing sign inventory data?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if your organization already has a complete sign inventory electronically, whether it's maintained in a GIS system or in a CAD system, SignOps does allow for an import of pre-existing sign data into the application. So it's a simple process that we would do kind of at the beginning of the transition over to SignOps. So it does allow definitely for an import of pre-existing data into the application. So you don't necessarily need to fill out your entire inventory from scratch out in the field. of course, you would have to use barcodes to tag those signs out in the field, but the existing data could definitely be imported into SignOps using XY coordinates that would use that sign's exact spatial location, input that into the application, and those signs will be there in the application, certainly.
Great. Another one here, Mike. How does SignOps display multiple signs per post?
That's a great question. So currently, as it is, the SignOps application itself will just show the sign image on the post that's the topmost sign on that assembly. So for instance, we could have 3 different signs on an assembly. You know, we could have a stop sign, a yield sign, a turn only sign, whatever have you. So you could have those 3 on an assembly, but as it is currently in the application, you would just see the image of the topmost sign on that assembly. So say if the assembly order is the stop sign, yield sign, and a turn sign, we would just see the stop sign image on the map as it currently stands. But of course, you can have as many signs attached to a specific assembly as you need, but in the application itself, we just see the topmost sign image.
Great. Let's see. One more popped in here. How is the back end structured in terms of schema, relationships, etc.? Where is the data stored?
Yeah, so the data is stored on a web server, an SQL server, and it's structured basically as you would see it. So a sign is related to an assembly, and it's set up as you would see on the application. So there's fields for jurisdiction, install date, manufacturer date, sheeting definition. All those inputs have their own field within the database.
Great. Well, guys, that looks like it for today. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you for the questions. We do make recordings of our webinars. Most of them have worked. Unfortunately, sometimes Zoom gets a little funny, but as soon as this recording is done and a little editing, I will make sure and get it up on our recording page. But for more information, make sure and go to cloudpointgeo.com/signops. You can get a hold of Mike directly. You can also get a hold of myself as well. And also remember, we do have more webinars coming up in the next couple of weeks, and our live virtual event is next week, May 14th. I will leave this page up for a couple minutes in case anybody needs to take any information down. But again, thanks for attending.